Daylight spilled gently across the courtyard of the annual Italian summer charity event, a place filled with soft music, bright flowers, and people dressed in elegant pastels. The air smelled like fresh roses and warm pastries. It should have been a peaceful morning, but for Lina, it was the first time in months her heart felt steady. She arranged a bouquet of white lilies on a long table, adjusting each stem with careful hands. Her small flower shop had been asked to decorate the entire event, a huge opportunity. For once, she felt proud, stable, safe. No shadows from her past, no heartbreak pressing on her chest, no memories she was trying to forget. Just sunlight and silence. She whispered to herself, "Today will be calm. Please let it be calm." But fate had a different plan. Lina didn't notice him at first. She was too busy wiping her hands, checking petals, adjusting ribbons, until a quiet voice spoke behind her. "You always choose lilies." Her breath caught. She knew that voice. Slowly, she turned, and there he stood, Adrian, her ex. The man who had walked out of her life when she was sick, exhausted, and at her weakest. The man who promised forever, then left her with a single text message. He looked exactly as he did 2 years ago. Handsome, confident, wearing that same arrogant smirk he used when he wanted something from her. Except today. Something colder lived in his eyes. "Lina," he said softly, like he'd rehearsed the moment. "You look different." Her chest tightened. "What are you doing here?" He stepped closer, hands in his pockets. "I'm a guest. Didn't expect to see you working here. But I'm glad I did." His tone felt polished, like he was putting on a show for the crowd around them. Lina clenched the ribbon in her hand to stop it from trembling. She wanted to walk away, but her feet stayed stuck to the ground. She whispered, "Please don't start." Adrian smiled, the kind of smile that pretended to care while hiding something sharp underneath. "I'm not starting anything. I just want to talk. Alone." Her stomach twisted. "No, I don't want to do this." But Adrian acted like he hadn't heard a single word. He leaned closer, voice low. "I made mistakes. I know that. But I'm here now, okay? I'm ready to make things right." Her heartbeat hammered painfully in her chest. She didn't want this. She didn't ask for this. She didn't want Adrian invading the one day she finally felt at peace. Then, suddenly, a presence appeared beside her. Quiet, solid, strong. Lina didn't even have to look. She already knew who it was. Dante Maretti, the Mafia boss people feared. The man whose name sent chills through the city. The man she had never fully understood, yet somehow trusted more than she trusted herself. He'd been visiting her flower shop for months, always buying the smallest bouquets, always gentle with his words, always watching her with eyes that saw right through her pain. Today, his dark suit cut sharply against the sunlight, and the moment Adrian saw him, his smirk faltered. Dandy's voice came calm and soft. "Is everything all right here, Lina?" Lina swallowed hard. Yes, I'm fine." Adrian didn't wait. He looked Dante up and down with a mocking smile. "And who are you supposed to be?" Dandy's eyes didn't move from Lena's face. "Someone who asked her a question." Adrian scoffed. "Right. Of course. You're one of her customers, aren't you?" She always did have a habit of attracting attention. Lina froze, embarrassment burning under her skin. Dante finally turned his gaze toward Adrian, slow and cold. "Talk to her with more respect." Adrian laughed, loud enough for people around them to hear. "Respect? Lina? Please." She always comes running back anyway. Lina felt the ground tilt. Not from Adrian's words, she'd heard his cruelty before, but from how the world seemed to go still after he said it. Dante's posture changed. Not dramatically, not violently, just enough. His jaw clenched, his shoulders squared, his eyes sharpened, turning colder than stone. He stepped forward, placing himself between Lina and Adrian, without touching her, without asking permission, simply protecting her with presence alone. His voice was low, dangerous. "Take your hand off her." Lina blinked in confusion. Adrian wasn't touching her. At least, That's what she thought. Then she looked down. At some point while he spoke, Adrian had reached for her wrist, holding it. Not tightly, but possessively. Like he believed he still owned her. She hadn't even noticed. Her stomach twisted in shock and disgust. Dante's tone dropped even lower. Let go. Adrian raised his eyebrows. And if I don't? Dante's answer was calm. Dead calm. You won't like what happens next. People nearby began to turn, sensing tension. The soft music felt too gentle for the sudden storm forming around them. Adrian tightened his grip slightly, not enough to hurt, just enough to show defiance. Lina's breath trembled. The courtyard felt smaller, the sunlight sharper, the air heavier. Adrian leaned forward, whispering harshly, "She's mine. She always was. You think you can scare me?" Dante stepped closer, so close that even Adrian's confidence flickered. His voice was a low whisper of steel. "You made a mistake saying that." Adrian smirked, a smirk that tried to hide his fear. "Oh! And what are you going to do about it?" Dante didn't blink, didn't move, didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Let go of her. Now." Adrian's smile twisted into annoyance. "You think you're—" He never finished, because in the next heartbeat, a shadow moved behind Dante. One of his men. Big expression, unreadable. He whispered something into Dante's ear. Dante's expression darkened. Adrian looked between them, confused, suddenly less sure of himself. Lina felt her pulse racing. Something was wrong. Something bigger than this argument. Something she didn't understand. Dante straightened, eyes turning sharper, colder. He took one slow step toward Adrian. The entire courtyard held its breath. And just as Adrian opened his mouth to speak, Dante whispered, "That was your last warning." Adrian blinked. "My what?" Dante looked at him like he already knew how this day would end. "Your last chance to walk away." Adrian's face twisted in anger. "Oh, I'm not going anywhere." The air tightened. Lina's chest tightened. The sunlight felt painfully bright. Dante's voice dropped, quiet and lethal. "Then I won't either." The world froze. For a moment, the sunny courtyard felt like it had lost its light. People still chatted. The musicians still played softly. The scent of roses still floated in the air. But between Adrian and Dante, the space felt like a battlefield, silent, hot, and dangerous. Lina was trapped in the middle of it, her past standing on one side, her possible future standing on the other. Her heart beat so loudly she could barely hear anything else. Adrian's grip finally loosened on her wrist, but his eyes stayed locked on Dante, full of irritation and disbelief. He forced a laugh. "So this is what you're doing now, Lina? Mafia men? Really?" Lina flinched at the way his voice echoed through the courtyard. A few people turned. Some whispered. "Adrian, stop," she whispered. "You're making a scene." He leaned closer to her, ignoring Dante completely. "No! You're making a scene. Acting like you're better than me now. Like you didn't cry over me for months." Her breath caught, that familiar shame twisting inside her. But before the pain could swallow her again, Dante stepped forward. "Back up." The command wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was just final. Adrian scoffed, rolling his eyes. "Who do you think you are?" Dante's expression didn't change. "Someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect." Adrian spread his hands dramatically. "Disrespect? For what?" "Talking to my ex?" Dante answered without blinking. "To her, not to me. Her." Lina's chest tightened. Nobody had spoken for her like that before, not with quiet certainty, not without expecting something in return. But Adrian only grew more irritated at Dante's calmness. He stepped forward, trying to match Dante's height, trying to challenge him. "Listen, you think you scare me because people whisper your name in alleys? I don't care who you are." Dante's jaw flexed once. Lina felt it, the shift in the air, like danger had stepped out of the shadows into the sunlight. But Dante's voice stayed steady. "Good. Then you'll understand the next thing I say very clearly." Adrian smirked. "Try me." Dante leaned just slightly closer, eyes hard. "You don't touch her. Ever. Again." The words hit like stone. Adrian laughed again, but this time there was a crack in the sound. Is that a threat? Because I swear, if you think I'm scared. One of Dante's men, Luca, appeared behind him, giving a small nod. A silent signal. Dante saw it. Lina didn't. But Adrian did, and his confidence wavered for a split second. He straightened, trying to regain control. You know what? This is ridiculous. Lina and I have history. Real history. Years not. Whatever this is. He waved a dismissive hand toward Dante. You think a few flowers and a strong suit make you important to her? The words stung Lina, but before she could speak, Dante answered. No. His voice softened. But the way you treat her makes you unimportant. Adrian's face tightened. Lina felt breath rush into her lungs in a shaky wave. The pain she dragged around for 2 years suddenly felt lighter, just from one man refusing to let someone belittle her. But Adrian? He couldn't let it go. He leaned closer to Lina, dropping his voice so only she could hear, though Dante watched every move. Don't forget who was there first, Adrian whispered, bitterness dripping from each word. Don't forget you begged me to stay. You cried for me. You broke without me. Lina froze. The words dug into old scars. She felt the courtyard spin. Her hands trembled. Not again. She didn't want to break again. Dante must have sensed it, because he stepped to her side, close enough that his presence felt like a shield between her and the past. His voice came quietly. Lina, look at me. She did. His eyes weren't cold now. They were steady, grounding, like sunlight piercing a storm. You owe him nothing, Dante said softly. Not your pain, not your shame, not your fear. Her throat tightened. Nobody had ever said something like that to her. Adrian noticed the way her breath steadied around Dante. And that's when envy flared. Oh, so that's how it is, Adrian spat. You're going to let this criminal speak for you? You think he actually cares about you? He doesn't. Men like him never do. Dante didn't react. His stillness alone was more threatening than anger. Lina whispered, Adrian, please stop. No, Adrian snapped. I'm not done. He pointed at Dante. I'm not afraid of him, or his men, or his stupid reputation. If you want to go back to your sad little life with him. He didn't finish. Dante stepped closer, slow, controlled, dangerous. Adrian instinctively stepped back. Dandy's voice dropped to a deadly softness. You keep talking like you know what fear is. You don't. Not yet. Adrian opened his mouth to respond, but Dante didn't let him. You walk around like you own her emotions, Dante continued. Like her pain belongs to you. Like you're the center of her story. He leaned just half an inch closer. You are not. Adrian swallowed. Lina saw it, the first clear sign of fear in his eyes. But still, pride pushed him forward. You threatened me once already, Adrian hissed. Do it again, and see what happens. Dante tilted his head slightly. I didn't threaten you. Adrian blinked. What? Dandy's gaze sharpened. I warned you. Silence fell. The courtyard felt too quiet. The sun too bright. The wind too still. Adrian glanced at Luca and the others, all watching, ready. He realized he wasn't surrounded by one man. He was surrounded by a world he didn't understand. A world where one wrong word could destroy him. His Adam's apple bobbed in his throat. He stepped back fully now, trying to hide the fear that had cracked through his anger. But Adrian wasn't the type to admit defeat, so he forced a mocking smile. You think this is over? You think I'm just going to walk away because some mafia boss told me to? He pointed at Lina again. She's still mine. She'll always be mine. Those words sliced something deep inside Lina. She felt something tighten in her chest, a mix of pain and anger, heavier than she expected. Dante exhaled once, slow and sharp. Careful, he warned. Adrian smirked. Why? You going to hit me? In public? In front of all these people? Dante didn't blink. I don't need to touch you to end this. Lina's breath hitched. Adrian faltered again, but he hit it with a mocking scoff. You're insane. he muttered. Both of you. He turned as if to leave, but then spun back suddenly and snapped. This isn't over, Lina. You and I are going to talk. Alone. And I'm going to remind you who you belong to. He didn't finish the sentence. Because Dante moved. Not violently. Not loudly. Just one step. But a step that cut through the air like a blade. Adrian stumbled back like he'd been shoved, though Dante hadn't laid a finger on him. What? What are you doing? Adrian stammered. Dante's expression turned dark. For the last time, he said quietly, you don't talk to her that way. Lina felt chills ripple down her arms. Dante wasn't raising his voice. He wasn't bragging. He wasn't showing off. He was protecting her. With a fury held tightly under the surface, and that scared Adrian more than anything else. He opened his mouth, but stopped, because at that moment, Luca returned again. He leaned to Dante's ear and whispered something quickly. Dante froze. Lina saw it. A subtle shift, a tightening in his jaw, a shadow crossing his eyes. Adrian frowned. What now? Dante slowly looked at him, and for the first time in the entire conversation, he smiled. Not warmly, not kindly. A cold, razor-sharp smile. Adrian took a half step back. Why? Why are you smiling? He asked, voice unsteady. Dante didn't answer immediately. He simply said, you crossed a line, and now something else has crossed yours. Adrian's eyes widened. What does that mean? Before Dante could reply, Luca whispered urgently again. Dante looked at Lina. Stay close to me, he said softly, but his voice trembled with danger. Lina's heart thudded. Dante, what's happening? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to Adrian, eyes cold as ice. You should have walked away when you had the chance. Adrian paled. What did you do? Dante stepped forward, closing the distance. You'll find out soon. The courtyard felt like it was holding its breath. Adrian's face drained of color. Dante. Too late, Dante said quietly. Lina felt the air tighten around them. Something was coming. Something bigger than this argument. Something neither she nor Adrian understood yet. But Dante did, and he was preparing for it. The courtyard, drenched in warm daylight, felt too still, too quiet, too heavy. Lina stood between Dante and Adrian with her heart pounding in her ears, unable to shake the feeling that something terrible was about to unfold. Dante's men had whispered to him twice. Twice his expression had tightened. Twice Adrian had grown nervous. And Lina? She could only feel fear crawling up her spine, wrapping around her lungs. What's happening? She whispered. Dante didn't lift his eyes from Adrian. He just murmured, nothing you need to worry about right now. But that answer didn't calm her. It shook her more. Because Dante never lied. But he sometimes protected her from the truth. Adrian tried to laugh, but it came out broken. Oh, come on. You're acting like something serious is going on. This is just drama. You think you can scare me with your quiet little act? Dante didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even breathe differently. He just stared at Adrian with a coldness that made the air feel dangerous. Lina stepped forward, her voice small but steady. Adrian, please stop talking. He turned to her sharply, frustration burning in his eyes. No, Lina. I'm not done. You think this man cares about you? He's using you to get at me. Dante's eyebrow lifted slightly, a single warning. But Adrian didn't stop. He doesn't love you, Adrian spat. He doesn't even know you. Something inside Lina snapped. She whispered, and you do. The man who left me when I needed someone the most? Adrian stiffened. Her voice trembled, but she kept going. You abandoned me. You broke me. You acted like I was a burden. And now you want to pretend you care. Dante didn't interrupt. He didn't control the moment. He let her speak, something Adrian had never done. Adrian scoffed loudly, trying to hide the guilt flickering in his eyes. That was the past. I'm different now. Better. I can give you everything. You had me, Lina whispered, and you threw me away. Adrian stopped talking. Her words hit harder than Dante's threats ever could. She felt her chest trembling, legs weak, breath shaking. She wanted to scream, cry, run, but Dante's voice stopped her from falling apart. Breathe, he said softly, the gentlest tone she'd ever heard from him. Her eyes met his, and suddenly everything slowed. Everything softened. The world didn't feel so crushing. The sunlight didn't feel so harsh. Her heart didn't feel so broken. Adrian noticed the unspoken connection and panicked. No! No, Lina, don't look at him like that. Adrian snapped. You don't love him. You love me. She shook her head weakly. I don't know how to feel anymore. Dante stepped forward slightly, not claiming her, not controlling her, just being a quiet presence at her side. And then, he leaned closer, voice almost a whisper. You don't have to know, he murmured. Not today. Just choose what makes you feel safe. I'll follow your lead. That one sentence hit her stronger than any touch. He wasn't demanding. He wasn't manipulating. He wasn't forcing her. He was letting her decide. Her eyes burned with sudden tears. Meanwhile, Adrian stared at her in disbelief. You're kidding me, Adrian barked. You can't honestly be considering him. He's dangerous. Dante didn't deny it. He simply said, I won't hurt her. Adrian laughed, but it was a desperate laugh this time. Oh, please. Men like you ruin everything you touch. Dante's jaw clenched once, but again, he stayed silent. Adrian turned to Lina, voice dropping, eyes turning cold with possessiveness. You're mine, he whispered. You were always mine, and everyone here knows it. People nearby shifted uncomfortably. Luca narrowed his eyes. Even the musicians faltered in their playing. Shame flushed beneath Lina's skin. Her past was trying to drag her back by force. Dante inhaled slowly, as if patience was slipping through his fingers. That's enough, he said. Adrian stepped closer to Lina, reaching out again, like he could pull her back into his control. And something inside Lina broke. The old fear, the old shame, the old pain. She didn't want to be someone's possession again. Not today. Not ever. Her chest tightened. Her breath grew hot. Her thoughts blurred. She did the first thing her heart screamed for. She grabbed Dante's collar with trembling hands and kissed him. The world stopped. Completely. Sunlight froze in place. Voices disappeared. Adrian's expression shattered into shock. Dante tensed for only one heartbeat, like he hadn't expected her to touch him, let alone kiss him. Then slowly, gently, he returned the kiss. Not forceful, not claiming, not like Adrian ever had. Just steady, calm, soft, like he was holding her together through every trembling breath. Lina felt her knees weaken. Her fingers shook against his chest. The world disappeared. Her heart wasn't breaking now. It was choosing. When she finally pulled away, breathless, Dante lifted his hand only halfway, like he didn't want to touch her unless she wanted it. His eyes were soft, warmer than she'd ever seen them. But when he spoke, his voice carried a deeper meaning. Let him watch what he lost. Lina's breath caught. Her heart stopped. Adrian staggered backward as if he'd been physically struck. His face turned pale with fury and disbelief. You're kissing him? His voice cracked. In front of me? In front of everyone? Lina tried to speak, but no words came out. Adrian's voice rose. What kind of game is this? You don't even know him. Dante stepped slightly in front of Lina, protectively, but never possessively. It wasn't a game, Dante said calmly. Adrian shook his head violently. You think I'm going to just stand here and accept this? No, Dante answered. I don't. There was no threat in his voice, but the danger beneath it was unmistakable. Adrian's rage twisted into something darker. You're going to regret that, he hissed. Both of you. Dante took one deliberate step forward. Adrian backed up. You made one mistake today, Dante said quietly. Just one. Adrian's voice trembled. What mistake? You tried to shame her. Adrian swallowed hard, but Dante didn't stop. And now, you're about to make another mistake, Dante murmured. A bigger one. Lina's pulse spiked. What does that mean? she whispered. Before Dante could answer, Luca suddenly appeared again, breathless this time. He whispered urgently into Dante's ear. This time, Dante's expression didn't just tighten, it darkened, like a shadow swallowing the last of the sunlight. Adrian watched nervously. What? What's going on? Dante didn't look at him. He only said two words quietly, coldly. They're here. Lina's stomach dropped. Adrian's face drained of color. Who's here? Adrian asked. Dante didn't answer. Instead, his eyes slid toward the far end of the courtyard, where three unfamiliar men in dark suits had just arrived, watching, waiting, focused entirely on Dante. And Lina, the pit in her stomach grew. Adrian whispered, Dante, what did you do? Dante didn't look away from the approaching men. I didn't do anything, he said softly. His voice turned sharper, colder, more dangerous. They did. Lina grabbed his arm. Dante, what's happening? He didn't turn to her. His eyes stayed locked ahead. Stay behind me, he said quietly, and don't let go. The men continued walking toward them. Slow, purposeful, like they weren't afraid of anyone or anything. Lina's heartbeat raced. Adrian stumbled back, fear taking over his bravado. The sunlight suddenly felt harsh, the music too quiet, the air too thin. Dante's voice hardened into steel. This isn't about Adrian anymore. He exhaled once, low and controlled. It's about them. Lina's fingers tightened around his sleeve. The courtyard began to shift, people noticing the tension, the danger. The three men stopped at the edge of the crowd, silent, still, watching. Dante whispered, and now everything changes. The three men stood at the far end of the sunny courtyard like they didn't belong to the daylight at all. Dark suits, sharp eyes, faces without expression. They weren't guests. They weren't locals. And they weren't here for the charity event. They were here for Dante. Lina felt Dante's arm tense under her fingers, but his face stayed calm, unreadable, the calmness of a man who had lived his whole life expecting danger. Adrian, however, panicked instantly. Who are they? He croaked. Lina didn't know, but the cold fear climbing up her spine told her they were trouble. The courtyard music quieted. Conversations slowed. People sensed something strange, something wrong, without knowing what was happening. Dante didn't move. His voice came low. Luca, he murmured, get Lina out of sight. Lina's heart jumped. Dante, no. He didn't turn to her. He couldn't. Luca reached for her arm gently. Miss, please. No, Lina whispered. I'm not leaving him. But Dandy's voice cut through her fear like a blade. Lina, go! Her breath hitched. Not because he was commanding her, but because he sounded worried, truly worried. It shattered something inside her. For months he had been the calm in her storms, the steady presence in her shop, the quiet breath in her chaos. She had never seen fear in his voice. Now she did. Lina nodded weakly and stepped back with Luca, her trembling hand slipping from Dante's sleeve. And the moment she did, the three men began to walk toward Dante, deliberate, slow, like predators. Dante stepped forward to meet them halfway, alone. The sunlight hit him sharply, outlining his figure like a shadow cut out of the day. For a moment, it felt like the courtyard didn't belong to the event anymore. It belonged to him. And the danger approaching. The men stopped only a few feet away from Dante. The tallest one tilted his head slightly. Dante Moretti, he said in a voice too calm to be safe. We heard you were here. Dante didn't blink. So, the man continued. You've made certain people unhappy. Adrian, still standing off to the side, froze. He looked between Dante and the men with growing fear. Who are they? Adrian whispered again, but nobody answered him. The leader smiled coldly. You embarrassed someone very important last week. Dante's jaw tightened, just barely. Tell him to handle his own problems. Oh, he wanted to, the man replied. But then he heard rumors. His eyes slid toward Lina. That you have a weakness now. Dante shifted one step, blocking their view of her completely. "You mention her again," he said quietly, "and you don't walk out of here." The threat wasn't shouted. It wasn't dramatic. It was terrifying because it was real. The men laughed softly, the kind of laugh that hid guns and blood and danger behind it. "We just came to deliver a message," the leader said. "What message?" Dante asked. One of the men lifted his hand and pointed at Lina. Andy's entire body hardened. The man said, "We know what to take from a man when we want him to kneel." Lina felt her throat close. Fear crawled up her arms, cold and sharp. Dante didn't move for 3 seconds. Then he stepped forward, fast, grabbing the man's collar. Sunlight flashed off the movement. The courtyard gasped. Even the other two men stiffened. Dante lowered his voice to a deadly whisper. "You touch her, even breathe in her direction, and I will end you." The leader's smirk finally cracked. He shoved Dante back lightly, not enough to be a real fight, just enough to deliver insult. "We'll see how well you protect her," he said, "especially when your enemies are already watching." Then the three men turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd like shadows sinking into daylight. The moment they left, Dante exhaled, a slow, heavy breath. Lina felt her knees wobble. Adrian stared at Dante with wide, horrified eyes. "What? What was that? Who were they? What did you do?" Dante turned, eyes cold as winter. "They were warning me." Adrian swallowed. "About what?" Dante didn't answer him. Instead, he walked straight toward Lina. Luca let her go immediately. Dante stopped in front of her, his voice low. "You didn't have to stay." "Yes," Lina whispered. "I did." Dante's eyes softened, but only for a second. He reached out and touched her forearm lightly, the first intentional touch he'd given her all day. "Come with me," he murmured. "I need to get you somewhere safe." Adrian stumbled forward. "Oh, so you're taking her now? You think she belongs to you?" Dante shot him a glance, one that shut his mouth instantly. "I don't own her," Dante said sharply. "But I will protect her," Lina whispered. "Dante, I'm scared." "I know," he said softly, "but I won't let them hurt you." He took her hand, not forcefully, but with a firmness that grounded her spinning world. People watched as he led her out of the courtyard, quick but controlled. Adrian followed, shouting, "Lina, don't go with him. He's dangerous. He's going to pull you into his world." Dante didn't look back. Lina did, just once. Adrian looked furious, betrayed, powerless. And that made him dangerous too. Outside the courtyard, away from the guests, Dante pulled Lina into a quiet alley between two sunlit buildings, a place where the world felt still. He leaned a hand against the wall beside her, breathing hard, trying to stay calm, but failing. She'd never seen him rattled, never seen his composure slip. "Dante," she whispered, "what did they want?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes for a moment, like he was choosing his words carefully. "They're rivals," he finally said. "Men who've wanted to hurt me for a long time." Lina's chest tightened. "And because I kissed you, they think I'm important to you?" Dante opened his eyes, his gaze locked with hers, intense, unfiltered. "You are important to me." Her breath caught. He stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough for her heart to trip inside her chest. "But now," Dante said softly, "they know it." Silence hung between them. Lina swallowed. "Are they going to come after me?" Dante's jaw flexed. "They might." Her stomach twisted painfully. "But I promise you," he whispered, "I won't let them. Not while I still breathe." Her chest squeezed so tightly she could barely speak. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "Why protect me like this?" "I don't understand." Dante hesitated, a rare, vulnerable hesitation. "Because you showed me something I didn't expect," he finally said. "Something I didn't know I needed." Lina felt heat rise to her cheeks. "You mean the kiss?" His eyes dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes. "It wasn't the kiss," he murmured. "It was the fact that you trusted me enough to reach for me." The world felt suddenly warmer, closer, more dangerous. but also more alive. Before she could respond, Luca rushed into the alley, breathless. Boss, we've got a problem. Dante turned sharply. What now? Luca looked at Lina, then back at Dante. It's Adrian, Luca said. He's making calls. Lina blinked. Calls? To who? Luca hesitated, then said the words that made Dante's eyes turn to ice. He's reaching out to a rival gang. He's asking them for help. Against you. Lina felt the blood drain from her face. Adrian, her ex, her past. He wasn't walking away. He wasn't letting go. He was teaming up with dangerous men. Because of her. Because she kissed Dante. Because she chose herself. Dante's voice came out cold and sharp. He wants revenge. Luca nodded. And he's serious. Too serious. Dante turned to Lina, expression filled with protective fire. This is no longer about jealousy, he whispered, or pride, or heartbreak. He stepped closer, letting his shadow fall over her. This is about survival. Lina's pulse thundered in her ears. Her chest tightened. Her fear grew. What? What do we do now? She whispered. Dante answered without hesitation. We end this. A chill ran down her spine. How? She asked. Dante's eyes darkened. Tonight, he said softly, I'm going after him. Lina's breath caught. No, Dante. He shook his head. He's crossed a line, and I won't let him drag you into danger. Lina stepped forward, gripping his arm. You can't go alone. Dante looked into her eyes, soft but unyielding. I have to. Lina shook her head, tears forming. Dante, please. He placed a hand over hers, steady and warm. I'll end this, he whispered, before he ends us. Her heart shattered. She wanted to hold him, stop him, beg him to stay. But before she could say anything else, a loud noise echoed from the courtyard. A scream, a shout. Then, Luca's phone buzzed. He looked down. When he lifted his head, his face had lost all color. Boss, he whispered. It's Lina's shop. Dante tensed. What about it? Luca swallowed hard. It's been hit. Lina felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her shop, her safe place, her livelihood. Destroyed. Dandy's expression turned deadly. They've made their move. He turned toward the street, voice cold as steel. Now it's my turn. The sunlight over the Italian streets should have felt warm, comforting, safe. Instead, the world felt cold. Lina stood frozen in the alley, staring at Dante as his words echoed in her chest. Your shop, it's been hit. Her breath shattered. Her shop, her safe place, her only piece of peace after losing everything 2 years ago. Gone! Her knees almost buckled, but Dante caught her before she fell. His strong hands steadied her trembling shoulders. Lina, he whispered, voice thick with regret. I'm sorry. She shook her head, tears burning her eyes. No, this isn't real. But it was, because someone, a rival gang or Adrian, wanted to hurt Dante by hurting her. Lina pressed a hand to her chest, trying to breathe. Her flower shop wasn't just a business. It was her second chance. Her proof that she could survive heartbreak. Now it was just ruins. The destruction of it felt personal, violent, cruel. She stared into Dante's eyes, voice shaking. Why would they do this? Dante swallowed hard, his jaw tight. Because they think I care about you. She whispered. Do you? He didn't look away for even a second. Yes. The honesty hit her like a wave, but the moment didn't last. Because Luca stepped forward urgently. Boss, we don't have time. If they hit her shop, they're not done. Adrian is pushing them harder. They're planning something else tonight. Lina blinked. Something else? Dandy's eyes turned cold, colder than she's ever seen. They want to take you. Lina's heart collapsed into fear. Me? Dante nodded slowly, voice deadly calm. They think you're my weakness. Lina felt tears fill her eyes. Dante. I didn't want to be a weapon in anyone's war. You're not, Dante said firmly. You're not a weapon. You're a reason. She shook her head. A reason for them to hurt you. No, he said, stepping closer. A reason for me to end this. His voice was soft but unbreakable. Lina's breath trembled. You said you were going after Adrian, but you can't go alone. You'll get hurt. Dante gave a small smile, softer than any he'd shown before. I've been hurt before, but I've never had someone worth protecting. Lina felt her heart twist painfully. She didn't know whether to cry or hold him, but before she could do either, Luca's phone buzzed again. He answered, listened, and stiffened. He turned to Dante. They're moving toward her street. Not the shop. Her apartment. Lina's stomach dropped. Her apartment was only 10 minutes away, full of memories, belongings, the last little normal part of her life. They want to trap her, Luca said, or kidnap her. No. Dandy's eyes darkened. They won't touch her. He grabbed Lina's hand, firm and steady. Come with me. Now. They rushed through the bright streets, Dante's men following close. The sun was setting low, casting golden light across buildings that suddenly felt too quiet. Lina's breath was uneven. Dante. What if they're already there? They won't reach you, he said. Not while I'm breathing. His words shook her deeply, protective, almost desperate. As they turned the corner near her apartment street, Luca suddenly raised a hand. Boss. Stop! Dante froze. Lina followed his gaze. 3 black cars were parked at the far end of her street. Men stood around them, the same men from the courtyard. Waiting, watching, looking for her. Lina's hands flew to her mouth. Dante, they're here. Dante gently pulled her back behind the wall of a nearby shop. He shielded her with his body, eyes scanning the scene. Luca whispered, they're not moving yet. Maybe waiting for Adrian's signal. Lina felt sick. Her ex, her past, her heartbreak. He wasn't just jealous now. He was trying to destroy her life. Her voice cracked. He's doing this because I kissed you. Dante didn't look away from the street. He's doing this because he can't accept he lost you. The words hit her heart like truth she had always avoided. Then Dante's tone shifted, sharper, colder. I'm ending this now. Stay behind me. Dante, no, she whispered, grabbing his arm. Please, you can't confront them alone. They have weapons. They have numbers. You're outnumbered. Dante turned to her suddenly, hands on her shoulders. Lina, he said softly, you're worth the risk. Her breath caught. He brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. And I'm not outnumbered, he whispered. I have something they don't. Lina blinked. WH1. He paused, staring into her trembling eyes. A reason to win. She felt her heart break in the most painful, beautiful way. Then he gently guided her behind Luca and the other guards. Protect her with your life, Dante ordered. Yes, boss. Dante stepped out into the sunlight, walking toward the men waiting on the street. Lina's heart raced so violently she felt dizzy. Dante, she whispered, fear clawing at her throat. Don't die, please. He didn't turn back, but she knew he heard. His shoulders straightened, like her voice gave him strength. The men from the rival gang saw him and straightened. Adrian stepped out from behind them, sweating, shaking slightly, pretending to be brave. There he is, Adrian shouted. That's the man you want. He thinks he owns this city. Take him out. One of the gang members lifted a gun. Lina let out a sharp gasp. Dante didn't flinch. He walked forward slowly, voice calm as stone. Adrian, he said, this is your last chance. Walk away. Adrian laughed, shaky and wild. Walk away. No. You made me look like a fool. You stole my girl. And now you want me to walk away. She's not your girl, Dante said coldly. And you lost her long before I stepped into her life. Adrian's face twisted in rage. You don't deserve her. And you did? Dante asked quietly. Adrian's breathing sped up. You ruined everything. No, Dante said. You ruined everything the moment you hurt her. The gang leader stepped forward. Enough talking. It's time to finish this. Dante's men moved. Guns came up. Tension rippled through the daylight like electricity. Lina felt her breath stop entirely. And then, sirens. Loud. Sharp. Close. Police cars flooded into the street from the opposite direction. The gang members froze, cursing and scattering. Adrian panicked. This, this wasn't part of the plan. But it didn't matter. Officers swarmed them before they could escape. Adrian was grabbed first, yelling, twisting, screaming Dante's name in rage. One officer pinned him to the hood of a car. "You're under arrest." Adrian's eyes widened in betrayal. "You set me up." "YOUSETMEUP." Dante didn't answer. Lina stared in shock. The leader of the rival gang was forced to the ground, shouting threats. The others were dragged away one by one. It was chaos, but controlled chaos. Luca turned to Dante, stunned. "You reported them?" Luca whispered. Dante finally exhaled. "I reported myself." Luca blinked. "What?" Dante nodded slowly. "I sent an anonymous tip saying Adrian was meeting with armed gang members on her street." Luca swallowed. "But boss, that means—" "Yes," Dante said. "I take the blame in their eyes. Not her." Lina stepped forward, voice trembling. You turned yourself in to save me?" Dante nodded once. "Your life is worth every risk." Her heart broke again, this time with overwhelming emotion. Adrian was shoved into the police car, screaming curses, threatening Dante, vowing revenge. But Dante didn't look at him. He stepped toward Lina. The sunlight framed him like a quiet promise. She whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" He took her hand gently. "Because you deserve a life without fear," he said softly. "And I'll destroy every shadow that tries to follow you." Lina's tears finally fell. She threw her arms around him, trembling. "Dante, I don't want to lose you." "You won't," he murmured, holding her close. "Not now. Not ever." The sun warmed them both, casting light over the street where everything once fell apart, and where everything now began again. Lina whispered into his shoulder, maybe I finally found the love I was meant to have." Dante tightened his embrace. "And I found the one I didn't know I was looking for." He brushed his lips against her forehead. "You're safe now, Lina." The world finally felt still, safe, whole. But deep in the distance, another figure watched from a rooftop, silent, unknown, and clearly interested. A new shadow, a new danger, a new story waiting to begin.